Hey there guys, welcome back to my channel Crafty Concepts with Erin. I have a scrapbook layout for you today featuring the current mix-in paper collection from the July and August catalog from Close to My Heart. So for those of you that don't know, the mix-in paper packs are designed to go with the two current paper packs, which is Wander and Isabella. And if you have not seen either one of those, I have videos right here in the upper corner. You can check that out or come back after this one and check that out to see what those collections are all about. I always get the mix-ins because they stretch those paper packs a little bit further, and I often use them on their own too because there's just an awesome collection of papers. So let me give you a closer look at what is in the current mix-in. So you get one of each sheet and they're double-sided, so two different patterns, but it's going to be the same tone. So here we have the sage green little leaves, and on the back is the solid sage background with little white stitching, kind of little stitch marks on there. And then we have a peach pattern paper. I love that subtle texture there. And then on the opposite side here, and then we have a nice lined paper, and this is mink, which is kind of like a light gray. And then here we have like a tone-on-tone floral pattern there. And then wood grain. I absolutely love wood grain. You guys, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know how much I love the wood grain paper pack from the annual catalog, but this one's a little bit different. On the back is a toffee background with white polka dots. And don't forget about the zip strips. It's kind of like the branding strip, and those are really fun to incorporate into your projects. This one here is paprika, and it has this pretty brushed pattern to it. And here's another pattern on the opposite side. And then this one is sapphire blue, and it's like a denim. At least it looks like denim to me. And on the opposite side is, or are polka dots, kind of elongated dots there, and you can see like a little pattern to it. So very cool. And what I'm going to do today is I want to use this cute as a bug stamp. And you can see this has the coordinating die cuts. Everything in this light kind of turquoise blue has a coordinating die. But if you don't have a die cutting machine, you can get the stamps without dies also. Now the reason I'm using this super cute stamp set is because I have these pictures of my youngest son Clayton, and yes, do you see that? That is a praying mantis crawling across his face. There it is on his head. Oh, and yes, crawling over his eyeball. Only boys, right? So I thought this little cute as a bug stamp set would be perfect. I'm also going to pull in the Wander die cuts. These are like chipboard frames with extra pieces inside, the arrows and these cute little sayings, little picture there, coffee cup. So I'll pull in some of these, and then more than likely the picture my life cards. So all last month I was working with the Wander collection, and so these are a lot of my leftovers. I just tucked them into this bag, but I am probably going to be pulling some of those in as well. Scoot this out of the way here. I'm going to start with my VersaMat to make my life easier. And then I also want to bring in a sheet of white daisy cardstock. Now I like to use glue dots, removable glue dots, and just put one in each corner. And this holds the layout in place so it's not moving around. And then you can see those super helpful grid marks around all four sides of the VersaMat, and that just makes my life easier lining things up and making sure my margins are even. So I know I want to use these two papers, the wood grain and then the leaves. They just kind of speak nature to me, and since we're dealing with bugs and we're outside, I just thought that was a good look for the background. We have the greens, and then there's browns and whatnot in the photos. So I've cut these photos or printed these out at 2.5 by 3.5. I like to print my photos at home because I can print odd sizes. Now, whenever I have a series of photos like this where I'm just kind of highlighting different expressions of kind of the same event, I like to put them together, and we could do this a couple different ways. We could go in, a horizontal pattern here and just kind of go across, or you could go in a vertical pattern. And again, because I printed these photos smaller, I can do this. There's lots of different, you could do a fun grouping in the middle, lots of ideas. I am going to do a linear layout, so I definitely want to use these in this format here. And I think I'm going to put this picture in the center because it's very, different, obviously different from these two, so it kind of breaks that up. So once I have a vision for how my photos are going to go, I basically build up my paper layers. So I know I want to mat my pictures onto this wood grain cardstock, and I am going to bring in the leaves, but I just want a little bit. So I'm thinking a strip here at the top and probably one at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those layers down. I'll be right back. So I have my strips here, and I cut these to 1.5 inches, and so I'm going to put that at the 10 and then this lower piece at the 2-inch mark, and then I'll split the difference with my wood grain, which I cut to 5.5. I'm going to put my photos across the center here. And now just to jazz this up, I want to add some paprika. This is the zip strip from one of the pattern papers in the Wander collection. So I cut those off, and I'm bringing in some sapphire. These are 10 inches in length, and they didn't need to be that thick, but they were scraps left over, so I didn't bother cutting them down. I'm just going to slide them behind that wood grain paper so we have a little bit peeking out. Just for fun, I thought I would round the corners on the outer edges here just for a different look. We have a lot of, hard angles or lines on this, and I thought that would soften it and add just a little bit of interest. Plus, we like to use our tools, right? So now here are those die cut pieces from the Wander collection. I'm using both the outer frame and the inside piece. It says explore more. And then this is one of the pocket cards. So I like the green, but that format isn't going to work. So I'm going to use the blue side. It says nature, and that'll be where I include my journaling on the layout. I don't want to waste the other side of this frame, so I'm going to cut that off. We'll save that for another project, and then just tuck this right behind here, and we'll layer that piece over the top of it. Now I want to bring in some stamping. So from this we have the ant, a beetle, and the praying mantis. And now all of these come with a foam insert that helps give you better stamped images, but the back of the VersaMat also has foam. So I'm just going to use that since I have 2 of them. I have charcoal, sage, and paprika ink, and a piece of white daisy cardstock. So we'll ink up our little praying mantis and stamp him right there. And now I'll bring in the charcoal for the little beetle here, and I'm not sure how many of those I'm going to use, so I'll just stamp a bunch of them. And then I have a couple circles. I cut one in charcoal and one in white daisy, and I want to do a little random stamping. So I have the ant, I'm practicing a few times, and now I'm using the charcoal ink, so it's kind of a tone on tone, and I'm doing some random stamping. Now the trick to getting that to look nice is to change the angles of whatever it is you're stamping, and also stamp them off the edge of your paper to make it look more natural. It's really not random, but we want it to look random, right? So anyway, we're just stamping. That looks pretty balanced. I think I'm going to stop there and then add this little sentiment to this white daisy circle. It says cute as a bug, and that's actually going to be my title. I'm going to add a little paprika ant above our title here, just because, why not? A little pop of color. And then I will bring back in our bugs here. Before I die cut those out, I do want to add some color to the beetles. I selected one of my watercolor pencils, and I'm using it dry. So I'm just coloring that in. And when you have the foam behind it and you are doing your coloring, I find it's a much smoother finish. I love creating your own embellishments from stamps because you can really customize the images. You see there I have die cut a couple extra outlines of that praying mantis, and I'm using liquid glue. I'm going to stack them all together just to give him a little bit more presence. And when you use liquid foam, that would be interesting, liquid foam. When you use liquid glue, you can slide them into place and get those lined up really easily. I don't want my mantis to get lost in the background, so I'm placing him over the top of that charcoal circle, and then I will layer my title over the top of that. You can see all my embellishments are touching. They're kind of nestled together, and it gives them a sense of belonging. So I am not afraid of bugs, but I do not want one crawling across my face. And Clayton here just thought it was hilarious to kind of freak people out. I can remember one time in particular, we were up camping and there were grasshoppers everywhere. So he's out in the field catching grasshoppers, just having a grand old time. And he comes back into camp and he's not talking, but he comes up to my mom, so his grandma, and he's kind of motioning to her and she goes, "What, are you okay?" And he opens his mouth and out springs grasshoppers, just like at her. It was something kind of out of a horror movie. Like, grasshoppers are benign and they're totally fine, but when you see them springing out of someone's mouth, it's kind of terrifying. She, of course, screamed and he loved it. He got the reaction he wanted. I think he was probably around 8 years old at the time, but yeah, we still laugh about it today because it was just really disturbing. Boys, right? Always up to shenanigans. So we just about have all of our embellishments tacked down, and I do have a card that I created inspired from this layout, so hang tight for that. I am showing you I re-stamped our little praying mantis in New England ivy. I felt the darker color showed more detail in the stamped image and it stands out a little bit better. So it's a darker shade but still blends beautifully. And I think this layout turned out super cute, and cute as a bug, right? So here's that card I created. Can you see the general design mimicked from the scrapbook layout? So we had the linear piece across in the top and bottom borders, and then I copied the embellishment and sentiment and then popped a little blue tag out of the top. The sentiment says, "Just bug cuz." I thought that was kind of cute. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you were inspired by today's layout. If you're not already a subscriber, click that subscribe button. I'd love to have you. Thanks for watching, and here's a few more videos I think you'll enjoy. Bye, guys.